I literally have no idea how this video is going to go. But that's the way I like starting things. Wing it, see what happens. The tangent at the beginning. It was in one of my favorite shows ever. I will not mention the show, but it's one of my favorite shows ever. That's not named Star Trek or any iteration thereof. But the characters were saying, basically, in response to doing stuff. Napoleon, the greatest field tactician in the history of the world, supposedly, in history, had a two-part battle plan. The first part, show up. Second part, see what happens. I'm sure this is not at all true, but I use that as a motto for my life. 90% of the decisions are made by people who show up, and I always show up, wherever. Expect to see me when you see me, but when I show up, I'm gonna help. Anywho, a friend of mine online and I are talking about this guy right here. The 9750. It is the control center for TC Logo and the TC Logo set that came out a while back. These are basically all part of the same kit and caboodle, part and parcel. And this is one of the things that you could make with that. Now, the thing what you want is that this control center, and I got this decades ago. Now, I mentioned this earlier in a different vid where I actually have two more control centers, but not in package. They just came to me. This one doesn't look like it's ever been used. And basically, you see here, across the top here, there are two inputs, rotation sensors, touch sensors, opto sensors, whatever you want to call them. And there's 6 outputs. The 6 outputs, I won't say are identical to the RCX, because there's 3 outputs in the RCX, but there are 6 outputs here. But the key is that what you can do is this 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fine. Is that if you if you plug in the motor here, it can only go one direction. If you plug it in here, it goes in the opposite direction. Plug it in here, one direction, opposite direction, one direction, opposite direction. Ooh, that sounds like a band, one direction. But if you plug it in here, you can turn it. You can either turn on 4, which will spin it one way, or you turn on 5, which will spin it the other way. You can't turn on both at the same time. I think there was coding inside the program that made sure you couldn't turn 4 and 5 on at the same time, and 3 and 2 and 3 at the same time, and 0 and 1 at the same time. But basically, if you plug in a motor in here, it can go either direction. Depends on what you code. So there's 1, 2, 3 outputs for bi-directional motors, which is identical to the RCX and the NXT. And I think this one is just some sort of always on or always off motor output. I think, I'm not sure, it says 4 volt. And this is the emergency stop button. And it has a connector here and a power supply there. And the connector here goes to a ribbon cable right here. The ribbon cable goes back to a card in a PC or an Apple. And this card is 9767. Never been plugged into a computer by the looks of it. This card is for an Apple IIe. Now, I have never in my life, because I had a real computer, I had a Commodore 64. Yes, I'll disparage Apple as much as I want, even though they're a quadrillion dollars, whatever. But I never had an Apple IIe. I never touched an Apple IIe. And when I went looking, when I got this set, this has got to be 15 years ago, 20, well, more before I met Sandy, so more than 20 years ago. I went on eBay and I tried to find an Apple IIe working, and they're asking 4 digits. There's no way I'm paying over $1,000 for an Apple IIe just to plug this thing in to see if it works. Ain't gonna do it. I also have a box of diskettes somewhere in this room that were made for this. They might be in the box. So I do have a 9767 card that is sitting here. Again, I do not know the status of the card. I have no idea if it works because, of course, I've never been able to plug it into an Apple IIe. The thing is that I don't want to plug it into an Apple IIe. I don't want to own an Apple IIe or whatever. So my friend is suggesting, and I'm vacillating wildly, that he wants me to send him the card because he has people who want it. And I'm thinking, sure, like, do I really need, but see, I don't, this is my bigger problem. This was a kit that I got with styrofoam and everything, and the instructions, box, all in various languages and blah blah blah. Basically telling you how to use this thing, and you build stuff like from there. So this one is the instructions for 9750. So the card, not the card, the 9767 is the card. For an Apple, the 9750 is the control center. 9700 is, I think, the kit. I can't remember, doesn't matter. What I want to do now, see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it has labels here. What I want to do now is, and this is all in, let's see if I can find English. Directions for use, so it's halfway through. Motors, that's whatever, that's not English, not English, not English, not English. Did I pass English already? Usually, not to talk about this, usually the English is in the front, but that doesn't seem to be here. Every time I think, oh, there it is. Okay, so here's the English. No? Oh, I guess the English is all part of it. Anywho, don't want to waste your time with that. What I wouldn't mind getting my hands on, because I found out with discussions with my friend that there is a Commodore 64 version of this cable. Basically, I didn't need a card because the Commodore 64, once again, proving that at the time it was better than any other computer in the market. It had an output port. It had a user port. Of course, I knew that because I build my own robots. But I always thought you had to have some sort of interface card. Well, you really don't. You just need to get the user port that's wired correctly to plug into this thing. And then, therefore, you don't need the card at all. My problem is right now, shockingly, there's not an actual Commodore 64 in this house. It's kind of sad because my friends gave me their 64s, and I plugged them in, I turned them on, it was great for a couple months, but they just sat there. And I already have the Mini. So at the time, other people, friends of mine, were looking for 64s. So I gave them those 64s that somebody gave me, because that's what I do. I don't need stuff gathering dust in my house if somebody else is going to use it. So I don't actually have any Commodore 64s in this house for the first time in a good billion years. So I have a 64 Mini, but that doesn't have a user port in it. So anyway, so I'm hardcore now looking for a Commodore 64 for the first time in my life. So this is the other kit that came. I keep on knocking this off. I got to do something with these things. So it comes with two 4.5 volt motors, which is fantastic. The rotation opto sensors. There's an opto sensor there, which I showed you in the last video. Some lights, blah blah blah, gears, tires, and underneath we have a whole bundle of wires. Like like when I got this, it looked like it was barely used. Barely used. The pieces have no scratches. Oh look, 1x6s. I might need those. And things are still in their shrink wrap and blah blah blah. And all the wires here are looking pretty much mint. So I built this thing out of here because that's one of the instructions. My issue, of course, that this thing's been sitting on my shelf, so you can see how dusty it is. Look at this back in the picture. So I always wanted, since I remember seeing this in the magazines back when I was in high school, wanted to control this via a computer. Now, when I have my, yeah, these discs are in here. I think, oh, they're not discs aren't in here, so I don't know where my discs are. Interface A. So I have all this stuff that I'm keeping. Like, I didn't sort this into the collection. I really didn't. I didn't want to. So this is a teacher's guide. So this is the, oh look, it has like programming languages here for turtles and stuff like that. Logo, TC logo, how to get the kids interacting with it, blah, blah, blah. Different things you can build, different things you can program, blah, blah, blah. So, and then you got these things. I think these things are for the kids. 9767, how the instructions, how to user instructions, how to probably plug the car into an Apple IIe pictures. So this is my problem. Do I actually, and this 9700, and then the various things, and there's that guy right there. So, and then the vehicles, the stoplights, vehicles. I remember all this stuff when I was a kid when I looked into the brochures. A merry-go-round, Ferris wheel, whatever, a washing machine, sure, and the vehicle right there. And then this is the operating system. Read before opening. What's in here? Floppy disks. Floppy disks. Lego Educational Division. It's got the Lego logo on it. Fantastic. And the Lego TC logo on it. But these are not the discs I'm looking for. I have a whole box of discs. Maybe I actually did throw those out because they were all personalized. I mean, they were all for this, but they were not branded discs. There were somebody's copies of discs. So, you know, so this is my dilemma. Do I get rid of this stuff? You know, because somebody who wants it, the person who wants it will actually use it and make videos and, you know, do stuff with it that I can't do, and nor do I want to do, because again, I don't want to buy an Apple IIe. So that is my, oh, look, more stuff, reference guides. Again, all these things again, looks like the same versions thereof, making machines. All for the Apple IIe. So if I get rid of the card, do I want to get rid of the rest of this stuff too, right? Because this is just pure nostalgic. I mean, I wanted to do at a show, at a Lego show, have a Commodore 64 set up running the interface, and see how cool that was. And you know, some people would get like me. But overall, how much effort, how much legitimate effort do I want to put into this, and how much space do I want to keep on wasting? Because again, this stuff hasn't seen the light of day. This stuff has not been opened. This stuff has not done anything in my Lego room except sit on a shelf, basically, since I moved in here. Occasionally, I'll bring it up for a video. This thing, this sits off my shelf because you can see what that is. Because again, I just love the nostalgic looking at this, because I wanted this. This is what I saw in the magazine when I was at school, and I wanted it, and I finally got it. I think I probably got it off of eBay. Probably got it off eBay. Again, far before I got married, far before I met Sandy, far before I think we're the beginnings of RTL Toronto. For me, I already had this thing. But I didn't realize you could connect it to a Commodore 64. I was PC or Apple, and I had the Apple version, and I was looking for the PC version. But again, my buddy tells me that you can connect it to a Commodore 64, and I don't have one for the first time in my life. It's just sad. Anyway, so my friend is asking for the card, and I am really on the fence about giving it to him, because I don't. He's a friend, and I think, yeah, sure, because what am I going to do with it? But it's in the box. And the box is complete. now all of a sudden, for the first time in my entire existence, I'm a comic book guy from The Simpsons. Aquaman cannot marry Wonder Woman. Oh no, you took it out of the box. Never mind. I'm not going to go into the tangents about The Simpsons. One of my favorite shows. Back in the day, the new episodes mean nothing to me, but the first 10 years were just brilliant. Yeah, so this is honestly my dilemma. Do I break up the band? I don't know. The debate ensues, because again, it's gonna sit in a box. This is me, my mind thoughts now. It's gonna sit in a box until the cows come home, until the end of time, until time runs out, until the heat death of the universe. It's gonna sit in a box if it stays in my house, because there is no way, there is zero way I'm buying an Apple IIe at this point in my life after being a 64 guy my entire life. There's no way I'm buying an Apple IIe. So there's no way I'm going to use this card. There is no way. So if he just wants the card, I think I can break up the band. I think I will just mail him the card. Here, have at it. Again, I don't even know if it works because it could have come out of the computer. It doesn't look like, I don't see any kind of stress marks on the insert into the circuit, the motherboard of an Apple IIe. But you know, it's been sitting in a box for the last 30 years. So it's 20 with me, and I think this is the 4th time in my life that I've taken that card out of that static free bag. So he could get it, could be dead. I don't know. I don't know. How can I test it? So, and here's the next point. I already have 2 controllers. I already have 2 controllers. That if I feel like, because I just found this because my friend again directed me to a website where you can download circuit plans to convert that 20 strand ribbon cable to plug into the user port in a Commodore 64. And should I ever get my hands on a Commodore 64 again, I could just do my own programming because I remember how to program a 64. I better remember how to program a 64. So do I just ship them the whole box? There you go. Here's the box. Knock yourself out. So this is my debate. I'm gonna put this on this side. See. I will tell you guys at some future point as to what I'm going to do. It's probably just going to be this at maximum because this stays with me and that stays with me. Because again, all the instructions that are in here, all the pieces are in there. So there are no pieces in here. It's just the controller, a power supply to the controller, and the card and the ribbon cable. So the debate ensues. Anyway, I don't want to waste any more of your time, so you guys can listen to me grieving about what I'm going to be doing about this. I also did this video, and I casually mentioned it, quickly mentioned it in the last bunch of videos again when I was talking about the NQC, not the NQC, the SEQ. I showed you that, but I wanted to go into some deep dives into this. And before I'm doing this, because now I'm set up to get rid of it, because I've done the dive, did the video, now it can go. So that's probably going to come down to letting it go. I am also going to, at some time, if I can find all the parts and pieces, because you have to special order the user port interface for a Commodore 64 and a 20 strand ribbon cable, because I'm not going to cut this one up. I'm going to make that before I even get a Commodore 64, but I am keeping my eyes open right now for a Commodore 64, and they go basically at this point on the Facebook marketplaces in the area for $400, but that includes usually the 64, the monitor, and the drive. Some are going for $1,000, so you guys are dreaming. I don't know what you're getting for $1,000. I know, and this is a quick tangent on the actual Commodore 64. Before Sandy moved in here, I had a basement full of Commodore equipment. I had PETs. I had 4040 floppy disk, 8250 floppy disks, VIC-20s, stacks of 64, stacks of 1541, BCs, A's, whatever, 1571s, 1581s, 3.5 floppies. I had a memory expansion card for the 64 that I brought up to 1 meg. I had a 1 meg 64 now. Hot swappable memory, so you could like load things instantly, blah, 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 all that stuff. I had boxes and cardboard boxes full, big cardboard, HP server boxes full of Commodore 64 stuff, or just Commodore stuff in general. I only had 164 set up and running, and I had a Commodore PET upstairs running, so I could play multi-invaders whenever I wanted. That's all I could do with it, really. But just having a Commodore PET 4032 was just fantastic, because that's the first computer I ever touched. But anyway, when Sandy moved in, And again, the boxes were underneath the stairs, and 98% of it just sat underneath the stairs since I moved into the house. I moved them from my one apartment to my next apartment to my loft and to here, and nothing came out of the boxes. They're all in the boxes. So at that point, this is 18, 20 years ago, I said, I got to downsize. I'm going to take all of this stuff to Value Village. I'm not even going to bother putting it on Kijijis or whatever, because nobody's going to want to Commodore 64 stuff. And so when I get to the VV and I'm unloading it to the guy says, do you know how much this stuff is worth? I said, you guys can sell it. Because me selling, that's effort on my part, and then shipping, and then, oh, I got lost in the mail, I want my money back, I'm going to leave you a bad review. Screw it. I don't want the headache. I don't want the hassle. I'm not here for money. I like making money just to keep the lights on and Lego in the room, but I'm not here. Not everything I do is to make money. I met people who they don't utter a word unless they know it's going to make the money. They don't lift a finger unless they know they're getting money in return for it. They don't do anything with their lives unless they're getting interest or money. That's never been me. Money is a way for me to get stuff. Money is a way for me to be comfortable. I don't need more than that. I don't need less than that, but I don't need and so I'm not here to get rich. I'm not here to get famous, as we can see from my YouTube channel. 570 subscribers. Yay, thanks guys. Over 15 years, I worked that out. But I like it. I like you guys. I know you guys. You guys respond to me and you say, hey, so I know you. If I had 1 million subscribers, are you kidding? Like, I never, ever wanted to be famous. Never. Nothing like that appeals to me. I like close-knit friends. And with that, I like comfort. I like comfort. I'm a big fan of comfort. I'm a big fan of being comfortable with who I am and what I do and who I hang around and who I know and what I want to do. I don't get a lot of stress anymore at 55 with what other people's expectations of me. They can go take a hike. If my expectations are different than theirs, guess who's going to win that one? and not lose a wink of sleep over it, by the way. Unless, again, I talked about this, and let's go off in this tangent. Unless somebody can make the case that my expectations for myself are negatively impacting somebody else's, then make the case, because I'll listen. I'm a good listener. So somebody comes up to me and says, Dave, you really should start thinking about X, Y, and Z, because what you're doing, A, B, and C, is negative over here, over there, and everywhere. But you have to make the case. You don't make the case, Dave, I think you're wrong. Well, go ahead, think all you want. Over there. Anywho, so I am very comfortable with who I am and what I do and what I want and what I think. I am like to think I'm a value-added service wherever I go overall. I like to think that I'm helpful, because I was a Boy Scout for far too long to think I'm not helpful. I like to think that I appreciate others for who they are and the way they want to interact with me. I don't demand people interact with me in a specific way to make me happy. I accept how other people want to interact with me, the level, the I don't know, the je ne sais quoi, the way people want to interact with me. I'm doing this wonderful email thread with a friend of this channel right now, and I'm really enjoying it because he wants to send me emails. He doesn't want to reply in the comments. That's how he wants to interact with me. I'm here for it. I'm honest to goodness, I'm here for it. Some people just want to watch the videos. I'm here for that too. How you want to interact with me, even if I don't even know you're interacting with me, like with my videos, you just watch them and say nothing. Very happy with that. You be you. You do what you need to do, and I'm going to support you. So I know there are people out there. I have 570 subscribers, and a dozen of them actually send me a message here and there. So there's a lot of other people, not necessarily 570, but there's a lot of people that are watching these videos. I look at my counter every day. Well, not every day, but I look at my counter and I say, oh, 56 people watched this video. I just released it yesterday. That's 56 people. and I have 5 comments. So there are people out there who are just watching my videos because they want to watch my videos. And I thank you for that. I'm here for that. I don't expect you to like and subscribe. I don't expect you to comment. I don't expect you to send me an email. I have no expectations for you. You do what you want to do and interact with my stuff the way you want to interact with me. Again, as long as it's not negatively impacting me, have at it. So I can't make it any clearer than that. I want people to be comfortable with who they are. And so there are no demands from me at all. There are no demands. And I've said this continuously. Do not like and subscribe if you don't want to. I know I come across a lot of channels that I do like, and therefore I subscribe to them. And there's a lot of other channels I watch a video or two and I think these are great, but I'm not really interested in the whole kit and caboodle here. I'm just interested in that one. And of course, YouTube gets the algorithms and they think, oh, you watch these 15 videos, you might be interested in that one. Oh, I'll watch that one. Oh, it's good. I like it. And then every so often, oh, the same video guy, the same YouTuber, the same video or the different video, but oh, I liked it again. And then I recognize this, and then oh, I'm going to subscribe to it. But that's just me. Nobody else has to do that. So in the end, I am probably going to ship my friend the card at minimum and see if he wants the rest of it. See if I want to keep the rest of it. But I'm looking at the instructions, and the instructions that were in there are basically the same instructions that are in there. So what's the point of keeping the box? And as I say, I already have 2 controllers. I have no idea if they work. I don't have any idea if any of these work, right? Well, let's just talk about that for a sec. So if we pull this out, and this, see, I like these tangents that go for 26 minutes, and then we get back into the Lego talk. Because that's how I roll. So if we get this, and this thing does come with a power supply, 12 volt VAC. This is almost the same power supply that runs the RCXs. Although I think that's 10. Let me just see. I have one over here. This is 10.8 volts VAC at 700 milliamps. And this one is 1.25 amps. So this is a lot more than this one, like almost twice as much. Actually, exactly. Well, that's 700. This is 1.25. So not exactly double. But anyway, so let's plug that in. We don't have a card or a computer to plug it into, but we do have, I never noticed this before. I've had this thing for 20 years. D620 leg Brookside ML. That's probably the school name. Possibly the school name. I honestly can't remember where I got it from. Let's see, plug that in. Light came on. I love it when lights come on. And there's the stop button. I don't think I can do this, but let's just try. I don't think this thing at all will be on without programming. I'm gonna grab a motor. I'm gonna grab a wire. I'm gonna grab all these wires. Like some of these wires are even color coded. Like look at that. There's yellow, blue, black, red in here, and I'm gonna worry about that. I have, when I bought the SEQs, more organization I gotta do. Look how messy my desk is already getting. Okay. When I bought the SEQs, it came with just a complete bird's nest of 4.5 volt wires. And I went in here, and I should have remembered that some of them are gonna look like that. The double white, that's for the 12 volt stuff, that all those controllers. So there's the 12 volt and then the 4.5 volt, whatever. Some really old ones were in here for whatever reason. And then I think this is from the school because they put some alligator clips on one of them, and I think that was just to connect some stuff to things. You know, so I kept it. I kept it all here. Not that I use it for anything, but I don't think this is going to work at all. No. Yeah, because you need the program to turn it on. So there's nothing here. So anyway, c'est la vie. So, but the light's still on, light's still on, light's on. It'll fade. It is fading, fading, fading. Just like some other stuff, like the train controller. You unplug the train controller, the light will fade, as long as it's not on. So let's, while we're here, just to make sure, I'm gonna grab this guy down here, which has my two other controllers. I've never done this before. This is becoming a fun video, not just me going on about blabbering about nothing. Put that away. Oh, this one's slightly different. So this one has a nice LED on top, a bubble LED on top. This one has one of those flat bottomed or flat topped LEDs, but it still came on. And we'll watch it fade away, fades away. So that one's that, and this one here, let's plug this in. I honestly, I saw a picture years ago that I just went Googling this thing again. There's not much to the circuitry underneath here. There really isn't much there, because it's all controlled by the computer. So I can't see how these things would not work, right? But these guys are subtly different than this guy. This guy has the top LEDs, the nice round clear LEDs, red and green, and this one has the flat LEDs. So I don't know what the difference is. This is, let's look at the back. 1987 Lego Group, 1987, I was 20. For educational use only as connected cable approved by the Lego Group. Power supply 715 volt VAC. Well, it's 12, but whatever. Use only approved AC adapter outlets 4 volt DC, 0.5 amps max, 4 watts. It doesn't say 70455, 70455. So the interface numbers is identical. There's no other identifying parts numbers on this thing at all, except this one says it's from the school. It has exactly the same sticker on the bottom, so there's no iteration as A, B, C, or D. I don't know. So that's that. This one has a number 75 on it because I think, again, it's from the school. This one has no number on it, and this one has 9B, probably room 9B or version or desk 9B, whatever. This one has nothing written on it at all, not once. There you go. So what I can do is I can find a Commodore 64, just a 64, and plug it into my TV. I don't need the monitor, and do some programming. And I will need the user port, but I can get on Amazon / AliExpress to buy the user port, and the instructions that I found online show you which wire to solder to which port, which connector on the user port. So I might just do that, just to see what happens. And I already have half the program written in my head, even though I haven't done 64 programming in 30 years. But I already have the program already written up in my head, because they didn't release software for the Commodore 64 for this thing. They released Apple IIe and they released PC, but they did not release Commodore. And so I'll be writing it in BASIC and not machine language, because I dabbled in machine language back in the day, but I couldn't care less for it. And when I'm doing a program like this, it doesn't need to be machine language. Because basically, the other thing is, so I'm talking about this because even in my head, this ribbon cable, it connects to the user interface port on the Commodore 64. The Commodore 64 also has 2 joystick ports that I mapped out thoroughly, because I used to make games, basic coded games, but games nonetheless that use the joystick ports. I made a My friends will laugh at this. Well, forget Spore Wars, Spore Attack. I made a 3-dimensional-ish, basically it was 2 screens of Star Trek, where the Enterprise top view and side view and the screens, and the Klingon D7 coming the other way and shooting photon torpedoes. So the torpedo would be 3-dimensionally going across the gap, and the Enterprise either had to hit the photon torpedo or avoid the photon torpedo in 3D space on 2D rendered top view and side view. And so it had the grid on it and whatever else, so you can like dive -Z just like that in Star Trek 2 down. And it was that Enterprise, by the way. It was the Enterprise, the refit, not the original. The refit's my favorite. But anyway, so you had to control the Enterprise in 3 dimensions by using 2 joysticks. so that's the way it was. And so I learned all the peaks and pokes and all that stuff. So with this ribbon cable and these 2 input ports, you know, I'm sure they go back to the user port properly. I'm sure somebody thought about that, but you could actually control. This is what I wanted to do with mine back in the day, because again, I used the user port for mine, and because it's got 8 lines out, right? So 8 lines. Let's go into this. The 64 had a user port that had, I don't know, a whole bunch of stuff, but it basically had P0 to P7 out, on or off. And I think it was 5 volts. But what you didn't want to do is you didn't want to overtax them, because you would blow the circuitry, but whatever. So the user port got plugged in, it went out, and I knew what resistors I had to get. And then I had those same holes that I had for my tank that over there, where you could plug in the motor. And since I already saw this guy, right, I did basically the same thing, except I didn't bother with this. I just did this, and then it was the 4th one. So it was this one or this one on or off. And it worked not great. I don't have it anymore, but it was fine. The LEDs, because I put LEDs, the LEDs lit up. That worked. So, but it was a valiant attempt. But I was gonna use the joystick ports and have switches, because the joystick port also had, because you had a trackball, believe it or not, for 64, and a mouse for 64. So it had a variable, a 0 to 255. When you move something, so it wasn't just on and off like a switch for the joystick, but it also had the oh, for crying out loud, that's what I used for the variable, not a variable capacitor. Yeah, I guess it was a variable capacitor. That's what you use to change the variable resistor. So you could go from 0, just like the light sensor as a variable resistor, to sense the light. So I was going to use a joystick port for that. Therefore, I wouldn't have to use the user port for that for inputs, because I think it does handle inputs. I can't remember now, but I'm looking at the on the circuitry, and they have more than 8 connectors there. So obviously the inputs have to go somewhere. So stuff I want to get into, stuff I want to look at, the stuff I really, really am passionate about, and stuff that I may, if I actually get around to doing it at some point. I'm just going to turn this up a little bit. Put that back down. Get over here. Come on. There we go. Lock it in place. There we go. You get put back in here. There you go. For me, old Lego is cool Lego. I mean, to me, that is honestly the bottom line here. This is cool stuff for me. And it is taking me right back to me being a kid and having so much fun just experimenting with Lego, and again, electronic Lego, by the way, because it's fun. In the end, it's a lot of fun. Let me get that out of there. And I'll put that there. I don't know how it was set up before. There we go, like that. Because I am old school, and all the stuff I wanted when I was a kid. So when I saw it on eBay way back in the day, I think that's where I got this one from. I can't remember if it was eBay or a garage sale or wherever it was. I saw it and I wanted it, so I got it. Because it's cool. It's not cool to hardly anybody else in the world. But again, it doesn't have to be. The expectation here is what do you think is cool? What do you like to do? What makes you happy in your world, and what you want to do with your time? Where do you want to put your efforts? Again, if those who want to make money with every breath they take and every step they make, let them. That's their happy zone, and so have at it. You're going to retire richer than I am. Perfect. Have fun. I'm having fun here doing what I want to do, not making a dime, but I'm having fun here. And I never, even when I was, let's go back to this tension. Even when I was a kid, I knew I'm already at 55 and I'm pretty comfortable. And we do crunch the numbers and they're looking okay. Blah, blah, blah. We don't have to go into details, but that's good for me. And there's other people who, I won't say worry, but there's people who micromanage their finances like daily. They get in there and they say, oh, I'm going to make an extra few bucks here, an extra, and they're going to retire guaranteed more wealthy than I am. And good for you. Right? And I'm not going to fault you. I support your enthusiasm to do this. I've sat with some friends that will sit for a coffee a while back, and they'll just pour over their notes. And they'll like, scribble notes and do a bunch of calculations. Nice. I'm here to help. But I am not interested in doing that with my life. I say, hey, financial planner, there's our numbers. You do what you have to. Let us know. We keep an eye on it because we don't want to get screwed. I have stories about friends and or family who had, shall we say, less than reputable, that we didn't know at the time. They seemed reputable at the time, but less than reputable bookkeepers / accountants / whatever, financial planners, and they ensconced with money. This is why I hate people. like. Anyway, I'm not going to go off on that tangent right now. Stuff that honestly does drive me crazy. Live and let live. Do you. Don't screw anybody else for them doing them. Like if they're not hurting you, don't screw them. If they're trying to do right, and if you need, I'm not going to talk about it because it's just going to get me upset before bed. I'm happy where I am. I am happy where I am, and I am happy where I'm going, and I'm happy overall with where I've come from. There have been missteps, there have been mistakes, some small, some huge, some that feelings were hurt, and hopefully I made amends. I heard this the other day, and it was very, very apropos. Somebody somewhere hates you. There's no getting away with that, but you don't know who that is. And I personally, and this is saying something, because anybody who knows our situation from 4 years back where it finally ended, I hate nobody. Nobody, whatever happened to me in the past that I rectified and moved on, is going to take up real estate in my emotions, in my brain, in my outlook on life. They're not going to take up. They did the damage, and I fixed it, and life goes on. And so those people who are, get the net. And again, do the healing on your time. Absolutely. If you need that kind of angst and anger, but if it debilitates you from doing other stuff that is better for you, that's something that you might want to look at. But I'm not a psychiatrist, psychologist, or any kind of professional whatsoever. So, I'm not even a Lego professional. So, and nor do I want to be. I want to do my life the way I want to do my life, and I like it. And I like you guys, and I like this, and I like that, and again, I've also, this is hopefully going to be the last tangent for today. I also know that many things I've done in my entire life that I remember, because I got a flaky memory at best. The things that I did in my life that I remember to this day has a story that I can relate to people. And so the stuff I remember, and again, this is the stuff that stuck with me for 10, 20, 30, 50 years, are stories that they're not Aesop's fables. They're not, but they are usually poignant / learning experiences that I remember. And you've heard some of the stories I've had. And the other stuff that are not stories or can't be made into stories, I honestly don't remember. So, and a very quick example about that is, so I remember now, because I got in trouble. I've known Sandy for 18 years. We had celebrated our 16th wedding anniversary just a few months back, and we had gotten engaged 17 years ago we were engaged. 18 years ago we met. 2004, 2005 we got engaged. 2006 we got married, and the engagement. I'm gonna. The very cool notes brief version because it can be a long story and it's a fun story, but whatever. This is like my colorblindness and the doctor holding up the card, right? You lead the whole story and you get to the colorblind card, and what do you see? A bunch of dots, and and then you can't be a scuba diver because you're automatically bombs. You lead them there, right? Anyway, this is not as cute as that one. It's one of my favorite stories ever because it's 100% true, and I love the punchline. But anyway, so Sandy and I got engaged. We went, we used to, when we could, we used to spend weekends at bed and breakfasts or a hotel or whatever. Hey, let's go here for a weekend. Sure, whatever. And so we went to Pennsylvania. It's just across the border. Yes, you have to go through New York. You have to hit Buffalo and then go up the coast of Lake Erie. We went to Erie, Pennsylvania. So supposedly the bridge there to get to Erie, Pennsylvania, is the tallest bridge over a chasm or like a ravine or whatever. It's like so stupid tall down to the water. I can't remember how true that is, but somehow that's stuck in my head. But the one that is really true is that and we've done it a few times now, because when we go down to Myrtle Beach, we actually go through the states. We don't hit the East Coast and go down the East Coast. We actually go through the Virginias and whatever else. But we go through Pennsylvania first. So we've gone to Erie a few times because it's a nice little town. So we're going to Erie. I think it was my first time going to Erie on our engagement, and we're driving down the highway, cruising down. I can't remember. 95. I don't remember. Anyway, we passed the sign. Do not pick up hitchhikers. Now, I have seen those signs before in my life, but I thought, this is very odd. I haven't seen a do not pick up hitchhikers sign for a long time. But big sign, big letters, and lit up at dark too, by the way. That highway is like no cities. There's no streetlights. It's completely black. And so, but this sign lit up. Do not pick up hitchhikers. Well, Sandy and I looking at each other. What are you talking about? Do not pick up. Like, really? And then not 5 miles an hour. Penn State Penitentiary. Next exit, whatever. Oh, yeah, that makes sense now. We'll pick up Andy Dufresne coming up. Anywho, so we get to Erie, and it was late in the fall. We love the fall. Well, not late in the fall, kind of like right now. It's like tomorrow. So we get to Erie, Pennsylvania, for the weekend, and we check in at the Red Roof Inn, and we had called months earlier to book the room, and we get there and we say we're here for our room, and they go, no, you're not registered. And I go, what do you mean? We have the printouts from our computer. Because Sandy's the most prepared person and stuff I've ever seen. All the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed. Here's the printout. Here's blah blah blah. They go, no, that's not in the system. What do you mean it's not in the system? Red Roof Inn. There's the address. We're at the right spot. Oh, you canceled it. No, we didn't. No, it says right here that you called on this date, right? And 10 minutes later you called and canceled it. No, we did not cancel it. And then the manager comes out, and the manager goes, oh, this is what Cindy did. And we don't know Cindy from anybody. And so the kid behind the counter goes, well, who's Cindy? And the manager goes, you replaced Cindy. Cindy quit that day, said a big F you, and walked out the door right after she took our reservation. So she canceled our reservation on the way out. so very apologetic, very whatever. So we got the room. There was a room available, whatever. So we got a room. But that's odd. Does not bode well. But anyway, that's the down part, because every story has to have like some angst and whatever. So our booking was canceled, but they had a room, and so we were fine. So we late at night, and the next day we go breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then we go out to Presqu'île National Park. This is in the States, not the one in Canada. Presqu'île National Park in the States. So on Lake Erie, on the south side of Lake Erie, kind of like the southeast side of Lake Erie, so you can see the sunset. It's fall, so the sun's over there. And so we're walking along the beach, and Sandy has a tendency, whatever beach we're walking on, she finds a few stones, because we have a little vase, not vase, vase. Canadians, vase. We have a vase out there where she puts these stones into where she goes, and these cute little stones. The ones that has little gold flecks in it, whatever, cute little stones. And I know this because I've been with her for a year now. So wherever we are, and so we're walking along the beach, the sun's setting, the wind's going through her hair, the waves are lapping on the beach. Like, you get it. We've been together for 11 months now. We're at our age that we don't have to be dating. And I said 5-year courtship, but no, 11 months is perfectly fine. So she's looking for stones, and I'm faking looking for stones. I'm reaching in my pocket, and she's just 5 feet away from me. And I get down and bend it, like, it's beautiful. The sun's there, wind. Get down and bend a knee, and hold out the ring. And I say, hey, honey, I found you a stone. She turns around, speechless, first time. She's like, she cannot speak for like 5 minutes. Yeah, I did it. I'm the guy. It was like fantastic. So we got engaged, and that's it. That's the story. And we had a nice time at Presqu'île and whatever. And then so that was the 11 months after we first started dating. 11 months engagement, and then 11 months later we were married. So our first date was December 2nd. Our engagement was November 2nd. And so we were looking for an October 2nd wedding the next year, but that didn't work out because that was like a Tuesday. So we got married September 30th at Westfield, which is one of our most favorite spots in the world. So 22 months between the first date to marriage, and here we are 16 years later. It wouldn't change a thing. Would not change a thing. So, but there's stories, and I love stories, and everything to me is a story that I remember. So this is where the story goes. So 6 or 7 years ago, we're talking to friends, and somehow it came up, oh, your engagement. And I start regaling the friends with this story. The sunset, the waves lapping at the beach, the sun's over there across Lake Erie, the nice clouds, the red and the turning around. Look, honey, I found you a beautiful rock that you can bring home for your vase. She turns around, she's speechless. The whole thing. Even talked about the crazy, cancellation of the thing. The entire weekend listed almost everything that happened, what we had for dinner. Because this is my engagement weekend. This is like very important to me. You know what I forgot in that entire story? The date. I won't forget it now, but I forgot that. So I'm regaling our friends of this beautiful story, and the Cindy canceling a reservation, the whole thing, the press, the sign, do not pick up his checkers, the entire thing. Just, and people are loving it. It's me telling a story. Yeah, sure, Dave. Anyway, so and then oh, what date was that? Date. I don't care about dates. It's never been on my radar to care about dates, even when I was a kid. What's a date to me? Like the June 4th, 19 whatever. That's why it's bad in history class. I don't remember dates. I can tell you whatever happened, but I don't remember the actual date. To me, the date itself, irrelevant. I was on the beach, on bended knee, ring in my hand, sun setting, the wind in her hair, beautiful red sky, blah, 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 and speechless for 5 minutes, and then the rest of the night, and then talk about everything, and forgot the date. Yeah, do not forget, this is for us men folk out there, do not forget the day of your wedding or your engagement or when your kid showed up in the world. Do not, okay, I'll never forget Josh's birthday. But yeah, so I forgot that, and then I'll never forget it again. Anywho, another 55-minute video. I'm so sorry. Anyway, I'm gonna send my buddy an email saying he can have the card. We can discuss the rest of the box. But I think I'm also gonna send him. This is why I don't want to be selfish. I have 4, count them 4. I can get 4 SEQs, one of which I need and a spare, but I'm gonna try to get rid of the other 2. And again, I'm not sure about the workability of the other 2, because I know that 2 worked perfectly well and 2 were temperamental, but he's a electronic guy, and I'll probably send him one of those 2 because he asked for it. So this is what I'm doing, and it's also appeasing my idea that I have to start downsizing the stuff in this room, because I have 3 more bins to sort underneath here of my builds, and then I'm done. And then yet I'm looking at the room and it is packed. Now, besides all the stuff I just pulled off the shelf for this thing, the room's clean, which is great. Everything is organized, which is great. But I have no room to add anything to this room. It is packed. All the shelves are full underneath the desk as well. The desk is getting emptier, thankfully. And I'm using up space in the garage. On the top shelf, sure. I think I have five Rubbermaid rugged totes out in the garage. They are, one's full of Lego, just basic brick. I think maybe 2 are full. 1 or 2. But the other ones are all, I put all my space sets that I did all those reviews for, I kept them together and I just put them in a Ziploc. So they are broken, but they're all contained and they're all in those boxes out there. And I got 2 boxes over here that have exactly the same thing. Classic space sets that I made the videos since last year of lot finds and whatever else. All those together. And of course, my shelf here is like all full of classic space, which you can sort of see some of it. Which is like what I want to do, because again, when he says I do want to put it all on display and see what happens. But I am feeling, every time I come down here, I feel like there's just too much stuff in here. And I don't want to move. I love this house. Those who know me and follow me on Facebook know that I love the view from our house. I love the access to everything close to, all the amenities are close to this house. And this house is ours. So I don't want to go off this quick tangent at 57 minutes, but hopefully make it quick. I moved here a year before I met Sandy. Well, a year and a half before I met Sandy. 2003. I met Sandy at the end of 2004. So I've been here since 2003. This is the longest, the absolute longest by far now that I've lived anywhere. I was born in Winona. My dad built the house in 1967 that I lived in, that I was born into. He built it as a centennial project because Canada turned 100, and Dad wanted to do a project, so he built a house. Because he could. I love my dad. And so we lived in the house from 1967 to 1979. I was 12, and it was pretty traumatic to move because we're moving away from family and friends. 2 whole city blocks. Not that you call it Winona the city back then, but we moved and then in the end, it was the best thing ever because the park was right there. We moved to the park. We moved to the right side of the tracks. Anyway, and so I lived there from 12 until 19, 20. When I moved out with my friends, and we rented a house. So I lived there for a year, and then we rented an apartment, and I lived there for a few years, and then I moved from another apartment. I moved with my brother for a while. I moved with my mom for a while. I slept on my buddy John's couch for a while. And then I rented an apartment on my own. I was there for a couple of years, and then another apartment, and then the top floor of a house. I moved, maybe I can't count specifics, because again, I don't remember a lot of stuff that doesn't have stories to it. But I think I've moved really moved 8 times in my life. And I always wanted a place to call my own, because the apartment wasn't necessarily mine. Living with my brother wasn't mine. Living with my mom, sleeping on my buddy's couch for a few years. Not necessarily my house, although my Lego was there. So when I bought this place, there's a bit of an emotional thing about it, but when I bought this place, it's mine, and it's my name on the deed, and it is my house. And when Sandy moved in, it was our house. The minute she moved in, some people say December, some people say April. I'm not going to fight. But the minute she moved in, it's our house. We haven't changed it because that's money now. We have to get a lawyer to change the name on the deed. And it has been talked about, and I'm for it, except it's money. So we have to do it. But it's in the will, so we don't talk about that stuff right now. But I've been here for 18 years, 19 years, 2003, and it's our house, and we renovated every room. We built this room. We built this Lego room together, and we had Josh here, and I wanted some form of stability of living arrangements that I haven't had since I was a kid, and the reassurance that that this is a very comfortable house. It's not ostentatious. It's not. Well, really quick, this house was built in 1975. It's a townhouse. I didn't want a townhouse, but the guy showed me the view out back, and that's so I'm sending a piece of paper right down there. But it was built for lower income people back in 1975. That's who it was built for. This entire unit, our units here, were built for lower income starting families back in 1975. So mom, stay-at-home mom, very young families, you had to put your name in a hat. You had to have a job, and you had to have a kid. That was the rules for buying in here. And the houses were $8,000. And I know enough about house building, because again, I've worked with contractors and roofers and like a whole bunch of other stuff, that these houses were not built to a good high standard. They were built for low income families, which you can tell at some certain junctures, like offset footings, like crooked mortar lines. When we did some renos, we took some walls down, and they had absolutely corkscrewed 2x3s. The insulation was threadbare, but that happens after years of house anyway. There were numerous deficiencies in these places, and especially since I moved in 2003, and they're built in 75. But the biggest one is that it's all aluminum wiring, and throughout the entire house, which just drove me nuts. Because I even called up the builder, because I found out who the builder was back in 1975. I called him up and said, "What are you doing?" Like, but aluminum wire was code back in 1975. Okay, aluminum wiring was code, but every single fixture, every single switch, every single light, everything that you connected those aluminum wires to, copper. Copper rated plugs, copper rated switches, copper rated lights, everything was copper. And you can, if anybody took any kind of chemistry at all in high school, you put two different metals together, what happens? Corrosion happens. I had my very first weekend here, I almost had the house on fire. Because my buddies came over here, we were steam cleaning all the carpets. We had rented a steam cleaner. We plugged it into the wall, and all of a sudden I see blue sparks, not from the plug, above the plug, coming out through between the actual box and the drywall. Blue sparks. And I said, whoa, I unplug it, go downstairs, fuse panel, unscrew a fuse, go upstairs, take the bracket off. The white wire, the white neutral wire, had melted 3 inches outside of the box. I'm going, what is this? And I pull it out, and the copper on the plug itself completely corroded, and the white, which was now looked like a ground wire because all the white had melted off, was completely corroded. I'm going, for the love of everything, So my first 2 weeks in this house, I went through every single plug, every single switch, every single light, everything. I bought the 6-inch pigtails, the right goop, the right morettes. I had to put the extension on them. So it's the code. Because I couldn't remove all the aluminum wiring. But I had to do that my first week here. So the house didn't burn down. So I called him up. I said, Valeri, jackasses. What do you do? Oh, but aluminum was code back then. We were allowed to use aluminum in 1975. Yeah, with aluminum rated plugs and circuits and everything. You didn't. It just drove me nuts. Anyway, so when Sandy and I, whenever we renovated one of our rooms, like we gutted the basement, I removed all the copper in the basement. I mean, all the aluminum. All the aluminum wiring came out of the basement. The only aluminum that's left in the house are the ones that go to the second floor, basically. All the other aluminum's been pulled out. I rewired it with copper. Just to be on the safe side. Wherever I could pull the copper out, or the aluminum out and put copper in, is what I did. And then I had a guy come in and replace the fuse panel with a breaker box. I told him there's like 7 or 8 circuits of aluminum and the rest are copper. He was great with that. So there we go. So now I'm not worried about the house burning down because of electrical fire. But I put the effort into it, and we renovated every room in the house. We put the effort into it. We painted, and we removed load-bearing walls. I happen to have uncles that are contractors. So he comes over and we take out the load-bearing wall that's between the kitchen and the living room. So now we have a whole open concept in this house. I love this stuff. We put so much effort. We put so much effort into what sometimes some people could call a crappy little townhouse that was built for low-income people back in 1975. But you walk in here and it's home. There's a Dutch word, gezellig. It's comfortable, but it's more than comfortable. It's home-like comfort. Like you're stepping into your home. It snuggles you in a warm blanket. That's what I find about this house, especially with Sandy here and Josh here. It is home. And if we had tons of money, if I was that guy, sure we'd move. Sure, absolutely tomorrow. Sure, because I wouldn't mind a bigger house, but I'm comfortable here. And the bigger house, the more you have to clean. So it is not a small house. It is a townhouse. And I'm just getting sick of stairs, straight up and getting sick of stairs. I have just talked way too much about this. Look at the time. That's it. Enough tangents. I'm sorry. I keep on doing this to you guys. I keep on saying I'm just going to focus on the Lego. And yet here we are, over an hour. I'm going to bed. I have far too many stories and stuff that I care about or I find humorous or find interesting or find poignant. And I just like talking about them, but I don't want to keep on wasting your time. So that's it. That's all. I want everybody out there to stay safe, take care of yourselves. And as I say, you do you, honestly. Be happy with who you are and how you are moving through your life. Work on getting rid of the stuff that's not making you happy. I do. So I will say talk to you soon and take care.